Today's brief video is a part two to the video I made yesterday where I talked about how I almost had a relapse. If you haven't watched that video, I pinned that video link in the comments below. Watch that first and then come back to this one. So yesterday I dropped a video talking about how I almost relapsed on pre-workout products. And I got some emails and some DMs, and there was quite a bit of confusion about it. So I wanted to clarify that confusion in today's video. And then I wanted to discuss some other realizations that I had over the last 24 hours that almost resulted in a drug relapse for me. I talked a lot yesterday in my previous video about the behaviors that I was exhibiting leading up to a relapse. I started lying to people around me. I didn't lean into my support network or reach out for help. I kind of started to seclude myself and lie to the people that normally help me. I started to justify the reasons for a relapse. I started trying to convince myself why it would be okay and why a relapse was necessary. And then I started to plan on exactly how and when I was going to relapse, how I was going to get the drug, how I was going to consume it, when I was going to consume it, how I was going to be sneaky about it. All the typical traits that you would see that lead up to a relapse in a person. Now, the question becomes why? Why did this happen? I said, where did this craving come from for a pre-workout product? And thinking about it over the last 24, 48 hours now, I realized something else very important. I've been pushing it at work, redlining it at work. And that's something that I do sometimes. Well, probably a little too often. And I haven't been doing much as far as, let's say self-care goes. My workouts have kind of slipped up from time to time again. I've been just very, very busy, and that's been leading to a lot of fatigue. I've been up at night late editing videos, browsing social media when I shouldn't be, not sleeping like I should be. And that's resulted in a lot more just fatigue overall. And this has only been over the last week or so. So naturally, now that I'm feeling tired and more fatigued, one of the things is my brain is saying, oh, hey, how do I combat this? And I just happen to get a craving for pre-workout products. That's where my brain, for whatever reason, decided to go to. And what I can do is pause, look at that and say, okay, Frank, cut back on work a little bit, start to focus on your sleep again, start to recreate some level of balance in your life, structure your day a little differently if you have to, structure when you speak to people a little differently if you have to, and just take care of business. And that's really a big thing, because if you guys start to notice certain aspects of your life getting out of control, whether it's work or a relationship or whatever it is, it's really important that you address those problems before those problems start to address you. And in my case, that would have been in the form of relapsing on pre-workout. So yeah, that's just a little bit more on what I think led to this incident and how it's been building up over time. Now, on the same note, I had a lot of people messaging me, asking me why is pre-workout such a big deal? As I said in my other video, I get really, really sick when I consume caffeine because of the damage that I caused to my body a few years back throughout addiction. So I can't tolerate any caffeine. Now, whether that's from abusing pre-workout products or an ongoing symptom or side effect of cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, a lot of people get caffeine insensitivities. I don't exactly know. I just know I can't have caffeine. Now, why would have it been so detrimental? Because if I started to use pre-workout products again, I probably would have felt that high, that rush. I probably would have felt better initially. But long term, they would have started to make me sick. I would have got body pain, numbness and tingling in my hands and feet. And I would have started to freak out about what's causing all these problems, ignoring that it's the pre-workout. And then I would cope with all those problems by starting to reach for things like nicotine and potentially even cannabis products to cope with the pain and the anxiety that I'd be having due to the health complications from consuming a pre-workout product. And I know that might sound ridiculous, but that cycle, that spiraling downward cycle, is actually very, very similar for a lot of people who suffer from active addiction. One addiction leads into another addiction. And oftentimes, what we're doing by picking up that second addiction is trying to cope with the consequences of the first addiction that we picked up. It's a very, very scary cycle. It's a very sad cycle. And it's very important that you see it for what it is, because by seeing it for what it is, that's how you successfully prevent a relapse in the future and how you move on from these things. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Like I said, if you didn't watch part one, go watch part one in the pinned comment of this video.